time for another review. I'm gonna review this beautiful Jupiter X that I received from Sweetwater almost a few weeks ago, and comparing it with Roland Fantom. Of course, they are not in the same category. They are totally different because Roland Fantom is the flagship by Roland. But I'm gonna just do some sound comparison because we have some of the Jupiter 8 sounds on the Roland Fantom EX under the Jupiter 8 model expansions and Jupiter 8 ACV models. And I'm gonna also compare some of the sounds with the Jupiter 8 software and see if the sounds are pretty identical or not. Right out of the box, the first impression is this Jupiter is very well built, is beautiful, is very similar to the iconic Jupiter 8. I tested some of the sounds that are very similar, and this is of course the reincarnation of the Jupiter 8 because it's more modernized. So you have two screens. If you remember, in Jupiter 8 we had a different screen here which was covered with a plexiglass. Now we have two screens. One of them is pixelated screen here that shows you like envelopes and some of the information. There are some similarities between this and the flagship Roland Fantom. They both are running on Zen core. So they do have that sound engines. Of course, Roland Fantom has much more. Is a full-blown workstation. So you do have too many features, including much better integration with the DAW. You do have a very good Ableton-like sequencer on board, but there are some similarities, of course. And Roland Fantom and Roland Jupiter X, they both have the same type of polyphony. They have 256 notes of polyphony, which is ironic because Roland Fantom can stack up to 16 timbral, whereas here you just can stack up to 4. So in that regard, I guess Roland Fantom could use a little bit more polyphony, maybe up to 400. Anyway, so this is a sort of synthesizer. If you are in love with the vintage iconic synthesizer like Jupiter 8, this is the deal. This is an ideal synthesizer for anybody like me, but they're hard to come by. And if you can find any Jupiter 8 in a working and good condition, they're running anywhere from $14,000 up to $24,000. So you can buy this at $2,900. So the question is this kind of overpriced or not? Because at $2,900 you can buy tons of good choices these days. Like for instance, this here I do have a Korg Nautilus 88 key version at with the aftertouch, which is around $2,900, and right behind me sitting is the Corswell K2700, which is a full-fledged workstation at the same price. Roland Fantom 6 is around $3,100, and the EX version might be a little bit higher, but you can buy the regular version and upgrade it yourself. This is like a $200 cheaper than the 61 key Roland Fantom, which is the flagship. So if you want to think it that way, this might be overpriced, but however, because this is a reincarnation of a vintage synth, and it is really nice, beautiful, the quality, everything, all the sounds are luscious and fat, and I really love them. So when you think about it that way, it's worth it because you're buying something that is really unique, and it's technically a Jupiter 8 in a new body, and it looks pretty much very similar to the original one. So this is for anybody who loves to have vintage synths like me, and anybody who is in love with 80s music or electronic music, and so you can create those kind of music easily, especially with the arpeggio here. So one of the main differences between Roland Fantom and this Jupiter X, I would say, is the arpeggio. Arpeggio is something that is not included in the Roland Fantom. Of course, you have a very comprehensive arpeggio section and the Roland Fantom, which has more than 180 arpeggios. but it's a different thing. It's not like arpeggio, because I arpeggio on this machine. It reminds me a lot of Karma on Core Chronos, or like a arpeggiator on the Korg Nautilus. So when you play something, it's not even giving you, in some of the scenes, you can have like a backing track and drum track, and it throws some phrases, creates some phrases then according to what you play. So in that regard, it's nice. On the Roland Fantom, as I said, you can have a Jupiter 8 model expansion, or you can have the ACB modeling. So for instance, this is the Berlin Nights sound that I pulled up, and it has the same sound on this one. Pretty very similar, but it's slightly different. If I choose the same sound from ACB modeling, should be very closer to this. And if when you compare it to the software version of Jupiter 8, I would say that Jupiter X sounds are pretty identical and much closer to the original Jupiter 8. So this one is loaded with almost 7 models already. You have Jupiter 8, you have Juno 106, JX8P, SH101, XV5080, Roland RD pianos, and Jupiter X. So you have like a 7 modelings, or let's say maybe you have, if you can call it sound engine, you cannot, because they are mostly based on the Zencore. But that's what we have here. I'm gonna play some of the sounds and compare it with the sounds on Jupiter 8 model expansions and ACB modeling on Roland Fantom. If I go to parameter and choose the map, as you see, you have the Jupiter 8 kind of emulation here that you can adjust the controls, even on the screen or with the knobs. So we're gonna compare this two. And as I said, this is a totally different machine than Roland Fantom. Roland Fantom is the flagship. It's the full workstation synthesizer. And I've seen some arguments online that the people say, okay, this is not, like there was this video that the guy was mentioning, because the Roland Fantom advertised on the Roland website as a synthesizer is not the workstation, and Roland FA it's a workstation, which is a stupid argument, because there is not even a single thing that the Roland FA can do and Roland Fantom cannot. But Roland and Yamaha, and they're all following the same common trend, that they are advertising their flagships as a synthesizer, because the music production is mainly PC based now. So they try to not call them workstation, but because they not call them the workstation, it doesn't mean they're not. So if you go to the Sweetwater website, or even search online for workstation, the Roland Fantom or even Yamaha Montage M or Yamaha Montage will pop up, because they are really workstations. But that's the direction that every manufacturer are approaching now. They try to sell them as a synthesizer, and of course on the Roland Fantom you have a nice section for synthesizer and sound creating, so you have direct access to the filters, same as that you have the same thing on the Jupiter X. I'm gonna play some of the sounds, some of the scenes, and it's for you to judge. But my impression on this one by far is this is lovely. I love this machine, and it's incredible. I mean, it's incredible. Let's play with it and see how does it sound. So as you guys heard some of these performances, the sounds are very powerful, too luscious, and the moment that you turn this thing on, it's a beauty. Especially these buttons, because they're lit up. They're not like the old Jupiter because they were like a colored plastic, but these are just changed color depending on the mode. And if you change like a scene, or if you change the motor bank, or if you use it as a sequencer. So it is a very powerful synthesizer. I love it. It has the very essence of the iconic Jupiter 8. It's far better than that. You have the drift voltage. You can change the drift voltage, and you can play with it and make it sound like a very, authentic old Jupiter 8. I love it. It has built-in speakers, but they don't have that much of quality, of course. Sound designing is very easy because you have access to all of your filters and oscillators. You have, of course, up to 4 oscillators if you want to design any sound. You have this small screen. It is pixelated, but you can still, when you change the filter or parameters, you can see what's going on in here. That's nice. Of course, there is a software that you can download on your computer and hook it up to the software, and you have better visual of everything on the computer as well. Overall, I love it. I love this machine, and for whatever it is at this price range, which is around $2,900, I think it's worth it. I mean, it's iconic. It might seem a little bit overpriced, but when you play with it, it doesn't feel that. And it's something that you really need to have. If you are in love with the vintage synths, definitely this is what I recommend you guys to buy. And it's been around for a few years by now, but definitely I love it. I mean, and especially all the controls that you have here are very identical to what you have on the Roland Fantom, the flagship. So you have, and they're high resolution. You have up to 1024 steps to design, or when you change the parameters on any of these filters, which is impressive. And the sound quality is very great too. I played some of the audio pianos, and you notice they're great. So there is too much to play and create music, and especially this arpeggio, as I mentioned, is beautiful. It's not, of course, as sophisticated as like a Karma that you used to have on Chronos or Arpeggiator on the Cognautilis, but it's beautiful. So use it, and when you play it through some phrases, then you can easily create some of the 80s style electronic music, and it's, in that regard, it's very impressive. And it looks nice. It's pretty. It's beautiful. I like the side panels. The build quality is good. It's made of metal. The keys, of course, are not fully weighted. The synthesizer action. I like the keys on my Roland Fantom 8 better, because I usually just play 88 keys. I like to have fully hammer action keys, but this one is nice too, and it has aftertouch, and the key action is pretty good. It's not that soft or bad, and it's impressive. I'm really happy with this machine, and I really love it. For someone like me who always wanted to have a Jupiter 8, this is definitely what you need to have. Thanks for watching this video, and bye for now.